All right, so welcome back. It's obviously this is much like a school day when we do State of the District. There will be people moving in and out. This is there's a lot happening at one time in schools all the time. And in State of the District, we wanted to try to make sure we were able to replicate a lot of the things that you see in our schools. Have you had the opportunity to speak with students, with teachers, learn about programs and opportunities that we offer our students. Also see some really cool performances. McCoy Elementary was in here earlier. Love seeing you guys sing. They did great. My favorite part about State of the District is to see the teachers and students that have an opportunity to showcase what they're doing. So we're excited about that. And the last time we were here was February 25th, I believe, February of 2020. And then all of a sudden, a lot of things in our lives changed. And so we thought it would be fun. So we'll talk about some of the things since we last met that have occurred in our lives that didn't happen, that we had no idea of anticipating. For example, had no idea I know who that guy was. All right? Had no idea. I learned a whole lot about Dr. Fauci. All right? And all the phrases that we learned from him as we started navigating the challenges of a pandemic. Drive-by honking waves. I'm just going to go out there and say that 2 years ago, none of us thought, since we were last together, we would be doing drive-by, honking waves, graduation parades. I can remember seeing online elementary teachers driving through neighborhoods, coordinating a drive-by. So it's kind of fun, right? Teachers doing a drive-by. But waving to our kids, making sure they got to see some faces. All right, fess up. How many of you hoarded toilet paper? I'm willing to bet. Come on, I know a few of you probably did it. How many of you thought 2 years ago, the last time we were together, that you would be concerned about the world supply of toilet paper? To the degree that you would go to H-E-B or your other local grocer and wait in line for toilet paper? I don't know. Had no way of imagining the last time we were together that would be something we'd experience. Oh yeah, this is awesome. I mean, come on. I'm not paid advertising here. I'll tell you what, I won't name the name of the restaurant, but I was cracking up because the first time we needed to go order, they're like, would you like a margarita? And I'm like, well, yeah, I would. Is that legal? It is now. And so I go to pick up my order, and they also gave me 2 rolls of toilet paper. I mean, come on. 2 years ago. Had no idea. These are some of the things we'd be experiencing. Oh my gosh. The words. How about the words? Unprecedented. I'm so tired of that word. Social distancing. We weren't talking about that 2 years ago. Flatten the curve. Bill boy. How about that one? Herd immunity. What in the world is that? Right? You remember all these things. PPE. We weren't talking about that 2 years ago. Nor were we talking about super spreader. Remember, some people may have been accused of hosting a super spreader event earlier in the year. Lockdown. Oh, talking about the lockdowns. M95. Had no idea how important those two numbers in the letter were. CDC. And of course, the dreaded quarantine. Oh, as a parent, the dreaded phone call of a quarantine. Yeah, a lot of things we weren't used to. New hobbies. Billionaires started having a space race. My hobby became moving rocks and doing landscaping work. These guys decided, hey, let's see if we can have a space race. So depending on what degree of wealth, I guess, depending upon your hobbies, those guys had a lot of fun. Hey, the Brent House Olympics are huge in the Brent home. Back-to-back years of the Olympics. I mean, we watched it all the time. That was a bonus since we last met. This is interesting. 2 years ago, since we last met, the blue line across the top of that chart indicates the number of airplane conflict, like issues that lead to arrest. And in the year 2020, there were about, I think, 1,800. It was 180. And then in 2021, they spiked to over 1,000. We were talking about that 2 years ago. Wow. And then, what the heck? All of a sudden, weather? Like, last year in February, we're plugging along, we're surviving the winter, all of a sudden, boom, the Arctic blast, Snowvid, what are some other names? Snowmageddon. It was just wild and crazy. So, 2 years ago, also, since we were last together, 10,446 people moved to Georgetown, Texas, April 20th to December 21. And you can meet every one of them on Williams Drive from 4 to 5 p.m. I promise you. If you want to get to know them, go stand on the corner, whichever corner you want, and they'll be there. All 10,466 and more. Williams Drive. So, also, while there's been a lot of challenging things that have happened in our community and in our country, there's also been a lot happening in Georgetown ISD since we were last together as well. So I want to show you a few numbers. 2,201,786 free meals served to Georgetown ISD students. 10,000 plus free hot meals delivered by bus drivers, maintenance staff. So this is really amazing. Kirby and the guys, I say Kirby and the guys, Kirby Campbell is one of our guys on our team who's an amazing person. He and the team, they learned of students who didn't have transportation to access the free meals that we were giving out at Frost, Pearl, and Tippett. And they found a way to deliver meals to certain areas of town where students didn't have transportation to get those kiddos fed. Guys, the world stopped. The world shut down, if you remember what that was like since we were last together. And I was blown away, by the way, men and women made sure that happened, and this happened. 2,788 COVID tests were administered in 3 short months to GIC students, staff, and families at the Pickett site. Can't explain how amazing it was to see a team create a process, launch it on their own. And guys, these are Georgetown ISD employees that made this happen. 2,408 appointments at our Lone Star Circle of Care GISD Health and Wellness Center. So I went to get vaccinated. It was awesome. You go to Rosarte GHS Annex, right there, right in the front entrance there, our clinic's open to students, staff, and their families. And we opened that during the pandemic in 2021, which had been started, and we just stayed the course, never left that schedule, never left that commitment. 12,500 laptops purchased for instructional purposes since March of 2020. Crazy numbers. 1,100 homes were provided with Wi-Fi hotspots for families who did not have internet access. We're told one day to have school in person. The next day we're told, no, you got to create a way to have school now at home. Well, what about students that had no access to Wi-Fi? That's a real challenge. Man, this is a testimony to our teachers. I mean, our teachers and our principals on a dime had to learn how to deliver instruction in new ways. Now, I have a few things I want to talk about this later. But 9,738 GISD Google classrooms have been created since March of 2020, and I'm sure that number is still going up. 58.5 days of learning in which all Georgetown ISD students received remote instruction. And that wasn't even on our mind last time we were in this room for State of the District. And 41%, 5,200 students continue to receive remote instruction. Some families have the choice to stay home. 5,114 plus days of work missed by Georgetown ISD staff. We need to think about this. These are some important numbers. 5,000 days of work missed by GSD staff since August of 2020. 46,023 plus days students have been absent from learning for COVID-related situations since August of 2020. Guys, do the math. That's 126 years. I didn't do that in my head. I apologize. There are consequences to this volume of absences, be sure. 27,747 days of missed learning by our students for COVID-related reasons alone in January 2022. Guys, we're just coming off of our heaviest month of absences since COVID-19 began. So think about that. Teachers in and out of the door. In the month of January, students in and out. What did you teach to whom and when? And how do you fill in those gaps as a classroom teacher? We always want to do better. But there's one thing I hope you will take away from today's experience is empathy for classroom teachers and campus principals. for what they're trying to navigate right now with these kinds of loss in attendance and loss of learning time. 8 days of instruction, lost to weather. You gotta be kidding me, that really happened? Yes, it did. How did that happen? 4.9% increase in student enrollment since February 7th of 2020. We've seen several hundred students coming back to Georgetown ISD or coming new to Georgetown ISD, and we get a quarterly report on that. Proud of our school board and our district leadership team for this number. That's $7,992,356.31. Newly committed to Georgetown ISD staff raises and one-time incentive payments since March of 2020. We're funded on a per-student allotment. Your taxes may be going up, but we don't get new money. We're only funded by the students that we receive. And so the pie, there's no way to make that pie bigger. And so every time to do a pay increase, we have to cut something else. So it's a challenge to navigate the pace of pay scale. There's a lot of people that are talking about this quite a bit. And the bottom line is, in Texas School of Finance, we always want to try to make sure we pay our staff more. But I'm really proud of the way that our staff has worked to create this opportunity for our employees. We've opened 2 brand new campuses, Williams Elementary and Wolf Ranch Elementary. We didn't get to have a big ribbon cutting, everybody comes here in the building, but our principals opened that school, our teachers opened those schools, and they're thriving and they're doing well. And they're growing fast. I think the first day back to Christmas break, I think Wolf Ranch enrolled 27 students. Day 1 back to Christmas break, honestly growing. I love this number, guys. 0 campuses closed for GISD COVID-related reasons since August of 2020. And I think, before we go on, I would think if any person that you see wearing this little GISD badge, you will never find human beings more committed to being open for kids. The attitude of our school district was, if kids and families need to be in school and want to be in school, we're going to be open. There was no one person that made that decision. There was no one person that made it happen. It was a group of men and women that live our mission of inspiring and empower every learner to lead their own serve so well. And they said, no matter what, we need to have school, and we need to navigate the illnesses that come with it, but we know we need to be open. I'm so proud that our district did not close, that we kept our doors open for all students. Which I just want to give a plug to our special education team. This all got started in the summer of 2020 when they created an opportunity for severe and profound handicapped students to go to, I believe, Pearl Elementary for a window of time. And they were the first group in the area to say, let's bring kids back. So kudos to them. I love that. I just so love that. And hey, we had some parties. We can smile now. We had 2 high school graduation parades. Who would have thought 2 years ago in this room that we'd fall in love with high school graduation parades? And we had some amazing fireworks show. I can remember sitting around the room saying, hey guys, if we pull this off, if we actually have a high school graduation in public, with all this at home, you better find fireworks. That's all I have to say. And, sure enough, what do? We need something done in a special operations way. You find Kirby Campbell and make it happen. All right. So excited about that. So, here's another challenging story to tell to a degree because numbers say a lot. They don't tell the whole story. I'm going to read a couple of things. If you don't know that person, that's Latoya Easter. She is our Eastview High School principal. And I'm going to read a little bit about her experience. Latoya visited every senior that she could the spring of 2020. Her purpose was she needed to see her kids' face, to let kids know that we were still here and caring for them, motivating students that needed some motivation, to support the work teachers were doing and to connect with kids and learn to teach them in new ways. Latoya wrote, it's funny because I didn't know if those visits truly made any type of impact until late May and graduation night. Teachers began to tell me that such and such students said you came to their house. That students walked across the stage. What people really couldn't see is the brief dialogue we shared about those visits. I experienced so much when I went to students' homes. There were times that I pulled up to homes, trailers, in particular areas of such disparity that I was afraid I would be turned away. But I never was turned away. I saw the good, the struggles, and the hope of those visits. It's something that definitely impacted my leadership at HU High School. She visited 397 seniors in their homes. It took her 13 days with 10 to 11 hours a day, and she had the transportation department map out routes for her. She needed to see her kids and make sure she knew that they knew that we were there. This guy, this is my man Jim. I wish Jim was here. Jim Wilson is greatness. He's a plumber for Georgetown ISD. During the snowstorm, he slept at our support services building to continue to support our facilities and be available. Kirby, we saw him stick his head in these water vaults and these fire suppression systems, water pouring out everywhere, and he goes in there and gets soaking wet to shut down the water to save a building. This is all happening over a window of a few days. During this time, Jim's home did not have power or water, yet he stayed in sight to tend to the district. We opened up for kids before many other districts in the area. Guys, we didn't lose a day of instruction after that freeze hit because our team did everything. Kirby wrote, the first couple of days were just an event. Fred, Jim, and I would all be on the phone early in the morning to talk about which area needed to cover. Then we would disperse and find pipes that are busted and pouring water everywhere. Jim put the district's needs above his own and was a big part of us being able to minimize damage to our facilities and prepare for students for a quick return to campus. Guys, it's not just classroom teachers that want kids in school. It's our support staff that want kids in school. And Jim, whoo. So there's a teacher on the far right. His name is Amanda Sanford, and her husband's probably somewhere in the back. He's not Officer Sanford. He's one of our SROs for Georgetown ISD. I'm not going to name names of individuals, but I think it's important to put it in context when we talk about the impacts of COVID-19 in the state of Georgetown ISD. And this one's tougher for me to share because I know the family. So, here we go. No, I'm not crying, Brad. Okay. One Forbes teacher lost her husband to COVID in the fall of 2020. She has a student in Georgetown ISD. Staff from all over the district contributed to a GoFundMe and participated in fundraisers in the community to help cover funeral expenses and support her with bills for the first month as the only breadwinner. Forbes staff provided meals, gift cards, supports for months. On-campus teams reworked their schedules. It was all about relationships. And so the powerful part of this is when we often talk about COVID-19 and what's the state of Georgetown ISD, we have to learn from the past, and we also have to take stock in what the situations that we're in and some of the challenges that our people are facing. Campus principal for us, Justin wrote, at school we were able to transition her to a non-direct teaching position and transition back to working easier and at her own pace as she struggled to cope with being newly widowed single mom. One of our BCS teachers leads, Amanda Sanford, covered her inclusion classes, took on her case managed kids, and did all of her art while she was out. I think she continued to do art prep and paperwork all the way through the first semester. The bottom line is Amanda Sanford and her family stepped up and took care of this co-worker as she navigated the passing of her husband due to COVID. The most challenging part of that was watching her son experience his first baseball season without his father, because I know him from baseball. It's a challenging time. Unfortunately for our teammates, she's never been able to put this behind her. Each time it seems like the world is going to move on from it, another wave hits. We've all said it feels like Groundhog Day, but for her it is an unfortunate reality. Whether it's seeing COVID posters, getting notifications, exposure to emails, her and her kids or even her and her kids getting the virus again. She seems to never be able to move on and heal because it's never gone away. So this is, to me, is an important reminder that we, and I hope and pray that we're on the other side of so many things, COVID-19. But guys, the state of Georgetown ISD regarding this is we don't know how long the consequences of this will last. And we have to be sensitive to the needs of the men and women that we love and hold dear as we figure out how to move forward. What I love about our team and all the things Georgetown ISD is that our vision and our mission has been our compass. Inspire and empower every learner to lead, grow, and serve. Right? The beliefs have been our map. And it's been very personal for a lot of us. For me, personally speaking, in 1997, I came up with my own personal mission statement. It says, do the right thing. In 2001, I became a campus principal. And we were asked to write this down on a sheet of paper to still in a frame in my office today. To do the right thing. And every decision seeking my heart what is right, I choose to act on that realization. What is right for my students, staff, teachers. Choose to act on that realization. I'm in control of my response to everything. That was something that, whether it's inspiring and empower every learner to lead, grow, and serve, and doing the right thing for the people we love, our staff, our community, our students, there was a lot of weight in decisions that we had to make. We have 2,000 employees. We're now 12,700 students. We're the largest employer in town. We felt like as we went, so the community would go. And we just really felt the weight of those decisions. So how do we do it? I'm going to give you some information and then we'll try to get you out of here. We take care of people. We work to meet their needs. We continue to advance the work we've begun and leverage who we are in our priority work to navigate recovery. So let's talk about academics. I'm so proud of the work that we started in 2019-2020 school year. 2019-2020 school year, we started seeing some additional work going on towards academics before the pandemic hit. Committed to pursuing academic growth on the standards, providing new professional learning opportunities for our staff, and creating better professional learning community time during the work day and the school day, staffing instructional supports. All of these things were either started in right before or after COVID-19. I don't speak to read all of them, but these are the big ideas. Professional learning for staff, modern student progress on standards, and academic interventions. We have more academic intervention supports at our campuses than we've ever had before, and we have better assessment systems for tracking student growth and development along the standards. And we're encouraged by the progress that's indicated in our learning data. So these are bar graphs. For the sake of time, I'll tell you the green is Georgetown ISD, the red is the region, and the blue is the state. And these are changes in percentage of approaches or above from 2019 to 2021. So approaches is the baseline passing level. What you'll see across the state of Texas is that these were drops in student performance that are as a result of COVID-19. So people say, well, what do you mean? Are you bragging about how much you dropped? Well, no, but we always talk about the importance of data, and we look at how our students are performing. This is the state measurement that they use. I find value in a lot of other measurements and assessments as well. But when we look at the state's work, it shows that Georgetown ISD across the board had a lesser decline compared to the state and the region and approaches. Now we're in meets, the middle level passing. We see that, in all grades ELA reading, no, we dropped off a little more than our peers. But everywhere else, we did much better. As a matter of fact, in writing, we improved some. Now, guys, we have a long way to go, and there's a lot of work to do ahead. But what we're encouraged by is our commitment to instruction, to assessing student progress and the standards, aligning the curriculum that our staff has written, providing resources and learning time for that for our staff, our principals' efforts in monitoring and working with our staff in that work has seen a lot of good things. We actually grew in masters, which is the highest level of passing, and we didn't see much drop at all. However, we do have a lot of room for growth. The point is this: what we believe is that we're encouraged by the work we implemented. So what I love about our district is we stay true to who we are, to our beliefs, our mission and our vision, and we focused on student growth. During the most challenging times, our teachers never strayed off course. We're also seeing encouraging data. This is the NWEA MAP report. The person who works with us from NWEA called Terry Conrad and said, hey, what are y'all doing to move the needle? And she said, well, what do you mean? We're doing the work that we started. She said, well, I'm not seeing districts in our service area that we serve that are keeping up with the nationally normed standards like you guys are. It's not common. And what that means is this: each bar graph on the left, that's the darker blue is GISD, and they put the letters there. The lighter blue on the right, these are pre-COVID norms. What that means is this is prior to the average expected loss of learning. So on pre-COVID norms, nationally ranked norms, our students are at that level. So we believe that's a good sign for us. You see the same in English and reading? And I also want to talk to you about counseling. These are all the things that we've been implementing since this began. And what I'll tell you the big ideas are: data collection, analysis, and utilization to inform practice and decisions, build and implement a comprehensive counseling program on every campus. Guys, we all know this. If students are not coping well with their social and emotional challenges they're facing in life, if they're not mentally well and healthy, guys, that's going to be a barrier to learning. We started this work long before things got politicized with other acronyms and interpretations. We started this years ago, focused on meeting the emotional needs of students. I can tell you, as a husband of an elementary counselor, if we aren't taking care of our kiddos' emotional health, they're never going to learn what they need to be learning. And we must be intentional with that. So I love the fact, and then we have partnerships. I love the fact that what we're starting to see is, I don't expect you to know these numbers, but the important number there is green. These are all the different student demographic breakdowns. For example, it can be race, economic disadvantage, some learning disabilities. These are average student scores categorized by different criteria of students. It's interpersonal skills and cognitive skills. And these average scores on this assessment, when you reach green, you're good, you're better. So what we've seen is growth in students' emotional well-being during this time that we could tie to the efforts we've made in counseling. This is interesting. We have school-based therapist teams dealing with helping students deal with trauma. I can't speak to this like Dave Rainey and the rest of the team can, but the bar on the left shows we've been seeing about a 25% improvement in students' social and emotional well-being after they've seen our school-based therapist. That's a standardized assessment on the left. On the right is a self-reporting assessment. Students who have been with our school-based therapists show a little over a 25% increase in their emotional well-being after working with the school-based therapist team. So we're excited and encouraged about that work. Parent surveys. We see that students have an adult that they can trust, and I'm satisfied with my student at school. Basically what this number tells us is anywhere from do not agree to somewhat agree, most agree, and completely agree. That overall, we're seeing improvement in kids feeling safe and connected at school. That students are welcome, safe at school. So, guys, we remain committed to this. The state of Georgetown ISD is we take care of our people and work to meet their needs. All right? We're going to continue to advance the work we've begun and leverage who we are, our priority work, to navigate this recovery. Because here's the thing, we do believe there's a lot of recovery left for us to do. What I mean by that is this: when the storm of COVID-19 hit, we held true to our vision, our mission, our beliefs. We know that we're a foundation of this community, and we held on to pursuing student growth, meeting the needs of our people, and providing new learning opportunities for our staff, meeting their technology needs. We did the work that was inherent to who we are. And so I want to close with a little launch, because in March 13th, the Friday before spring break, we met with our district leadership team in 2020. And we weren't sure what was going to be happening next. Little did we know, I thought, hey guys, we'll be back in a week, go enjoy spring break. Everything will be fine. Yeah, right? But I read this to our district leadership team of principals and district administrators, because I felt it's an important example. It's from a book by a guy named Mitch Albom called Have a Little Faith. And this is a message from his rabbi, a sermon that he wrote. I want to try to tie this together for you and launch you out of here. A man seeks employment on a farm. He hands his letter of recommendation to his new employer. It reads simply, he sleeps in a storm. The owner is desperate for help, so he hires the man. Several weeks pass, and suddenly, in the middle of the night, a powerful storm rips through the valley. Awakened by the swirling rain and howling wind, the owner leaps out of bed. He calls for his new hired hand, but the man is sleeping soundly. So he dashes off to the barn, and he sees to his amazement that the animals are secure with plenty of feed. Then he runs to the field, and he sees that the bales of wheat have been bound and are wrapped in tarpaulins. Then he races to the silo, and guess what? The doors are locked, and the grain is dry. And then he understands. He sleeps in a storm. So, we're going to close with, my friends, if we tend to the things that are important in life, if we are right with those we love and behave in line with our faith, our lives will not be cursed with the aching throb of unfulfilled business. Our words will always be sincere. Our embraces will be tight. We will never wallow in the agony of I could have or I should have. We can sleep in the storm. And when it's time, our goodbyes will be complete. That message wraps a lot of things up for me. When the storm hits, do the right thing. Take care of the things that matter most. The needs of our people. Keep them fed. Love them. Pursue academic growth regardless of the situation. Do the right thing. And as leaders in our community, I would consider the end of this sermon where he talks about living by our faith. Embracing sincerity. We can really be tempted to pass judgment with a lot of things right now. Politics, all the things going on around us. But why I love to call Georgetown home is that as a public school district, we are a foundation for this community. And this community leads with love and grace. And this community sets the stage for our children's future. When I read this, I'm called to live in alignment with my faith, to treat each other with love and respect, assume good intent, never be complacent, always try to be better. And in Georgetown ISD, we're doing that. And there's no better place to call home. We will always pursue to be better. Thank you for loving Georgetown. And thank you for being here today. Have a good evening.